All right, let's get going on Premiere Pro Session A, page 6. So at this point, I want you to see that if you are clicked on a video and you have your playhead anywhere in that video, you can use your keyboard up and down arrows to move to the head or the tail of the clip. So if I press up, this goes to the very beginning, and if I press down, it goes to the very end. And this is important because when we add additional things, we can snap them right where we want them to go. And that makes sure we're in the exact right spot, okay? And notice too, on my timeline, there is a little magnet. See that magnet? Snap in timeline. You're gonna wanna make sure that's pushed, and it should be, but if for some reason it's ever not pushed, that's something to check, okay? So you wanna make sure you have that magnet pushed. All right, I wanted us to press the down arrow so we're in at the end of this clip, and we're gonna add 3 more clips, but this time we're gonna add all 3 at the same time. And we're going to use automate to sequence, which is a special effect that is kind of built into Premiere. It's really nice. Like if you're doing a photo slideshow with like 500 photos, automate to sequence, definitely the way to go. But we're just doing it with 3. So we are going to select 3 files by using the control-click method. That means click the first one, hold control, click the second one, keep holding control, click the third one, and that will click them in order. Okay, so I'm going to click over here on the left, just scroll down to sky, okay, and then I'm gonna hold control and click rain field, okay, and you can let go of control while you scroll up a little bit, and then eyes, and make sure you hold control again before you click on eyes. So all 3 should be selected. They're all gray. That's how you can tell they're all selected. And then down here at the bottom, there is a button that looks like, I don't know, it looks like a bunch of books on a bookcase. It's called Automate to Sequence. We're going to click on the Automate to Sequence button. You can also go up to the clip menu to get to this. So you're going to have a dialog box that appears. In this dialog box, we have a few things that are important. One, we want them in this order, so we would choose selection order. That's why we clicked them in a certain order. We want to place them sequentially, which means put them in order. We want to insert them in this document. We're not overwriting anything, so the method is insert edit. I did have to change my clip overlap because I don't want them to overlap each other. Now, if you were doing a slideshow or there was like a picture that faded into another picture, you probably do want to overlap those a little bit and then put a transition between them, but we're not doing that here. So clip overlap to 0. And then I unchecked applying any default transitions. But if I was doing a photo slideshow, I would want to overlap and I would want to have some video transitions. So just keep that in mind. The other big thing we're going to do is we're going to check mark ignore audio because I don't want the audio from these. Okay, so there we go. We've got all of that in there. At this point, I'm ready to press OK. Remember, it's going to insert it wherever we happen to be clicked right now. And that's why we made sure the playhead was at that 3-second mark. Okay, I'm going to hit OK. And then bam, they're all in there. I'm going to zoom out some so I can see them. All right, there we go. So they're all in there. Now, they're too long. At this point, we're already at 23 seconds and 1 frame, according to my program monitor. So we're going to have to do a little fixing of the links. So one of the things that you do need to be aware of is the selection tool. And if you use other Adobe programs, the selection tool is always represented by the keyboard shortcut V. In some programs, it's called the Move tool. Doesn't matter, it's the same tool. That's your home base tool. That's the one you always want to kind of land on in between doing stuff. Now, we are going to, instead of like we did on the first one, where we marked in and out points and then drug it in, we just went ahead and put all these guys in here. So we're going to trim them off. We're going to trim them back to make them the length that we want them to be. Now we could, and I'm just going to do this, don't do this. I'm going to just take the edge of my sky clip, for example. I'm just going to drag it in. So you can do that. That's a quick way to trim something, and it just cuts it off at that position. And if you pull out more, whatever you did cut off comes back. So you can move it around. But notice that when I do that, I end up with a gap in here, right? And then you got to scoot everything over, which isn't really a big deal. There's a fun little feature if you click in gaps and you right click called ripple delete. And I could hit ripple delete and it would scoot everything back over. Now I'm going to undo all of that, Control Z twice here, because that's not how we want to do that. We're going to use some other special tools that make this easier so we don't have to do multiple steps. So 4A on your handout says that we are going to use the beginning of a clip and slide it over using what's called the ripple edit tool. So the Ripple Edit tool is located under the third bank of buttons. Right there. You can press the letter B to access the Ripple Edit tool. Notice that's in parentheses there. So I'm going to click on the Ripple Edit tool. And that means as you pull the edge of one, it's just going to scoot the next one over with it. Now, before I do that, I want to set my playhead up to be in the exact right spot, which is going to be 5 seconds. So you want to scroll that over to exactly 5 seconds. And then with your Ripple Edit tool, point to the edge. It's going to make a funny little arrow thing, and then pull in till it snaps to your playhead. Now, when you let go, watch what happens. Rainfield just scoots over. Isn't that fancy and magical? Love that. Okay, so now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go to the 7-second mark. So I'm going to scrub there. Oops, I'm 1 frame over. I know, I'm so... Okay. Anyway, there we go. Now we're going to pull the right edge of this one over so that this one ends at 7 seconds. And automatically, because we're using Ripple Edit, it's going to scoot eyes over as well. Okay. Now, we don't need to Ripple Edit on eyes because there's nothing after eyes. So let's go ahead and switch back to the selection tool, the main one. And again, you could just press V on your keyboard if you want. And then we're just going to drag the right edge of the eyes MP4 to the 11-second mark. So I'm going to, again, go ahead and set this to 11 seconds. There we go. Very unsteady today. And we'll just drag the edge of this one in because we don't have anything to Ripple Edit on this one. And it snaps. Remember, as long as that little magnet is pushed, it will snap in there. Okay. Now, here's what we're going to do with this one. If we play this clip, I'm going to press my space bar. It kind of goes and he blinks and he opens his eyes and whatever, and he blinks again. I want to make him blink in slower motion, okay? And you can do that using another special tool over here. Now, there's also another way to do this. You can right-click a clip and go to what's called speed and duration, and then you can make the clip last longer. So like right now it's at 4 seconds. I can make it last longer. That's something you can do. But if you know exactly how long you want it to last and you want to be able to just do that with a tool, that's what the rate stretch tool is for. So again, if you click same place where Ripple Edit was, or you can press R for the rate stretch tool. The rate stretch tool will automatically, if you make it smaller, speed it up, and if you make it longer, slow it down. So if I were to pull this in with my rate stretch tool, I'm still going to get those 4 seconds, but I'm going to get them fast. Woo, okay? Like that's a little bit too much, right? And if I drag it way out here, I'm still going to get this whole clip, but it's going to move much slower. So like whenever he blinks here in a minute, okay, eventually, there we go, real slow. Now, for our example, I have us to make this end at the 14-second mark. So I'm going to pull this to 14 seconds. And then at that 14-second mark, that's where I want my rate stretch tool to be. So what we did was we preset the part we wanted by pulling the edge in, and then we use the rate stretch tool. And if you look, there's a percentage that shows on my rates on that clip. It says 57.14%. So I've slowed it down by that, you know, to that percentage. So instead of going at 100%, it's going at 57.14% of its original time. All right, and that is page 6. Hopefully you've got a 14-second project right now. So if you look over here on the right of your program monitor, you should see 14 seconds. You've got these clips, and we're ready to give it a Control-S save and move on to the next page.